Wuben is at it again, trying to save us from boring flashlight design with their new Wuben X-2 flashlight. Welcome back to Schul's Flashlight Reviews. So I've got the new Wuben X2, and this is a great flashlight if you're looking for something different, something not normal, something special. And I've got three flashlights here. I've got the Wuben X0, which I reviewed, and I really liked this flashlight. It's a unique flashlight with a lot of great features. And the X2 here, it just kind of takes this flashlight and makes it a side-by-side sized flashlight that puts out a ton of lumens because it has not one, but three Samsung LH351D emitters in it. Now, Wuben is also shipping these flashlights with optional Osram P9 emitters. Those are low CRI and very cool, and if you like cool tint, maybe you'll go those ways. But I suggest for the majority of my audience to go with the Samsung LH351D, which is about a 5000 K, kind of a daylight temperature, neutral white, and it's just slightly above BBL. It's a really great high CRI emitter that I can really stand behind. Now, it's the same emitter used in this Synergy 2 from Freelux. And the Synergy 2 from Freelux is a single emitter, as you can see here, and it puts out about 1,000 lumens, which is really, really exceptional for a single emitter. This Wuben also put out around 900 lumens. So these are just great lights. But what if I want to break that 1,000 lumen barrier? Well, that's where the X2 comes in. The X2 has three of them, and with this one, you're getting about 2,000 lumens. Now, if you look at the fact that it's got three and you say, wait a minute, shouldn't that be 3,000 lumens? Well, that's just not the way it works. If you look at like Hank lights, when they go from 4 emitters to 8 and then 16, it doesn't scale that way. But 2,000 lumens is exactly what I'd expect from a 3 emitter light like this. It's got the same great interface that I talked about in the X0. And that is, it's got a button here on the side, and this button's got that little magnetic flap that I talked about in the last video with a USB-C charging port right there. You can see there's a little indicator right there to show the operation of the light and charging and things like that. Right now, I've got the light unlocked, so it's turning on low when I press it. But if I 1, 2, 3, 4, it'll do confirmation flashes, and now it's locked out and it won't come on in your pocket. This has the same remarkable UI in this X0, as I said. And what that means is 1, 2, 3, 4, got it unlocked. It comes on in a low, medium, high, low, medium, high. And then if you double click, you go to turbo. But what's great about this driver is not only is it super efficient, not only does it maintain its lumens on the lumen tube, but it's got the configuration that we saw with the X0, which is I can go to any one of these rates and there is kind of a range I can set the brightness to this mode. So if I go click, and I hold on the second click. So watch, click, and I hold. You'll see that it's getting brighter, and then it'll flash to confirm that it's at the highest it can go for that mode. And now my new low is that high. Or if I want it lower, I can go click, and it'll ramp down, and there'll be a confirmation flash at the bottom. And now the low is lower than it was. So I just think that's a phenomenal interface. It's the same one in the X0, and I really like it. Let's take a look really quickly for tint here. I'll go ahead and turn this on. Now, I do have my video lights on, so let me defeat those for a second here. I'll leave some of the lights on in here, but I'll get less light so we get a more accurate reading. These are Samsung LH351Ds, so you could expect them to be a little bit above BBL, but they should be not too objectionable. There you go. So that's on high. We got it's a little under 5,000 K and 40 points above dead neutral. You can see these values here that it is a high CRI emitter. Let's double tap to go to turbo. And on turbo, it actually gets a little greener. So on turbo, that is not my favorite. Around 60, I think it is termed a little green, so just be aware of that. Let's go to low and see what we get on low. And see, that's what I loved about this light, is it on low, we're getting dead neutral. And then let's go to medium, and on medium, we're getting a little bit more. So what I'm noticing is this light starts dead neutral and low and gets a little greener as it goes, which honestly, that's the way I'd want it if it's going to shift at all, because the brighter it gets, the less I care about color rendition. When it's really low and I'm walking around the house, that's when, if it's green, I just super notice it. Let me go ahead and turn these video lights back on. And let's talk about the fact that this light kind of improved on two things that I didn't like about this light. One is that when it's off, I can now double tap to turbo. If you remember on this light, it was double tap, went to strobe, and I didn't really love that. And if I double tap from turbo while it's on and double tap again, it returns to previous mode. That's exactly what I wanted on this light, so they improved it on this one. Also, the clip on this light, it was another thing that I didn't love because I just found it way too rigid and difficult to use. This one has a springier clip. Now, it is springier to the point that I can now use it. This clip was almost unusable by me, but it is still not flexible enough in my opinion. I can get it in one-handed into my pocket by holding it in this configuration and kind of lifting as I go over my jeans pocket, but this is still a little too tight for me. The good news though is it's thinner, and it's one of these things where if I unscrewed this, reversed the clip, and screwed it back on, I could bend it enough to get a little more gap to where I could use this every day. On this clip, there was just going to be no bending it. So I see this as a slight improvement over those two things I didn't like about this light. Now, it is larger. It's about the same, height. You can see that. So if I was choosing between these two, I would strictly go with whether I wanted sheer lumens or whether I wanted a right angle light, because these both have the same phenomenal driver. So let's take a quick look. We've done tint. Let's take a quick look at the lumen values here. Now, because it's a square light and I don't really have my lumen tube completely blocked off, we're getting a little bit of light leak here. You can see we got, about 0.1, 0.2 lumens leaking in, but it won't really affect what I was going to show you, which is on its lowest, I would not call it a moonlight because its lowest is 8 lumens when set to the lowest. Let me click, hold, and you'll see that as it changes here, see, the low can go up to about 75, and click hold again, and the lowest we're going to get, wait for the confirmation flash, is right here at about, let's see here. All right, there you go. So the lowest I could get by finagling it was about 5 lumens, and to me, that's just not a moonlight. It's low, but it's not a moonlight. Maybe that's perhaps why they don't say that it has a moonlight and it has 3 modes, whereas the X0 had 4, because the X0 had a moonlight and a low, medium, high. This just seems to have a low, medium, high. Now let's take a look at what the turbo is registering. And again, I'm not putting any aluminum foil here or anything. I'm just trying to fact check them. They said that they're around 2,000 lumens, and if I double click, oh, I'm off the range. But we can see that, here, let's try it again. Double click. We can see that I'm reading about 1,800 lumens. Now again, that to me is fine because I don't have any aluminum foil here. I do have a light leak going on, and I'm not fully charged anyways. I've been using this light a little bit. It's mostly charged. This is near full, but it's not full. I remember seeing at one point that I got 1,900 on the lumen tube. But now, another thing I want to point out, just like the other Wuben Night X0, is that I've been talking for a long time. So we've now hit ANSI, and we're still at about 1,700 lumens. So again, superior driver to what you'd get if you're looking at, let's say, a Lumen Top FW 3A or Hank Wang D4V2. Those drop dramatically. Now, I just hit step down, and you can see it's coming down now, but that doesn't mean the driver can't handle it. If I double click, I'm back up to 1,700 lumens thereabouts. If you're wondering why there was a step down at all, the step down wasn't due to driver or battery. It was just due to heat. It's getting a little warm around the fins here, but again, not bad. Really efficient driver, much better than a FET-enabled driver. All right, we're outside for some beam shots. We're going to take a look at 3 lights compared to each other. I'm going to start with the Freelux Synergy 2, which is an LH351D Samsung emitter, just like the X2. It's just a single, though, and it's going to be 5000K CCT. We're going to look at the cousin to the X2, which is the Night X0. This is also a single emitter, 5000K Samsung LH351D. So these two are very similar lights. And then we're going to look at the X0, its big brother, the X2. And the big difference between these two, because they're very similar drivers, is just that it's got 3 emitters. And we'll take a look at what kind of difference that means to the beam. So let's start with the Synergy. And I'm going to go straight to high here. So get a baseline. This is 25 meters away on this tree. And then out to the end of the street here, those row of palm trees is 120 meters. And we do reach, not a lot, but it does get all the way down there. And this is on turbo on the Synergy on a 5000K LH351D Samsung emitter. Now let's switch to the Wuben Night X0. And you'll see that it's a very similar story. Again, over here, all the way down the street, you can see that it is not that different at all. Very similar light. And this is where we're now going to go to the X2 and see what those extra emitters will do for us. So let's go and turn it on, and let's go to turbo, double tap, and there you go. You can see it's considerably brighter on this tree, and we're definitely making it down the street to those palm trees 120 meters away. Let's go ahead and do a side-by-side. So there's that tree and then that one. You can see there's definitely a brightness difference. Okay. Now let's do that on the street. So down the street with the X0. Now let's go with the X2. That's a big difference. All right. Now, that tells the tale of the tape, so to speak, about why you'd carry this larger X2. It definitely punches more, has more lumens. But I want to point out that it's got an interesting beam shape because of the fact that they're side by side in a row like this. Now, you might think that that would mean a kind of, elliptical hotspot. The hotspot's really well focused. It's actually a circle, but the spill is an elliptical shape. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I will tilt down a little bit, and we're going to go to a lower mode here so we don't blast the camera. There we go. Okay, there we go. So you can see the hotspot is very round right now, and if I turn this, rotate it, you'll see that there's no change in the hotspot, that it's just super round, okay? Now, what I want to do though is I want to move the hotspot off camera for a second and show you, let's see if I can do this. Let's see if I can do this. Let me go up a level. There we go. All right, what I want to show you is, there it is. You see the edge right here? It's kind of like, oh gosh, let me get this further away from the camera. It's kind of like a giant rectangle. There it is. Hard to show this close up. Let me tilt up a little bit and try again. A little further away from the camera. All right, here we go. So I got it flat right now, and as I rotate it, there we go. You can see that it's kind of a long rectangle shaped spill. It's not annoying, it's not distracting, and in fact, I think it might be kind of nice, because when you're walking your dog or something, most of the spill is going onto the land and not up into the sky or, wasted, below your feet. So, and if you do want it up in the sky and below your feet, all you have to do is turn it sideways, right? So that's an interesting thing there, and I just wanted to point that out in the beam shots. All right, so who's this light for? Would I get it? Well, first off, I do like this light a lot. If you have not watched my lengthy review on the X0, go take a look, because I talk about this button in depth. I talk about some of the features of the light in depth. But this basically, to me, feels like just a bigger, in some cases, improved version over the X-Zero. And in a way, it kind of scratches the same itch as the Synergy 2 for me. It's a side-by-side format. It's got around the same, kind of just shape and weight. And, for those people who wanted a kind of a unique flat light like this and were looking at the Synergy, but felt that this was too expensive at around $300, this one's under $100. And with coupons and stuff, I've seen it, around the $80 range. So for an efficient driver that you can configure, that doesn't tank lumens immediately after you hit turbo, I think this is a phenomenal light. And the fact that you don't have to emitter swap it because it comes with an enthusiast-friendly LH351D Samsung emitters, I mean, that's a win-win-win-win to me. The only thing that I do want to note is there's no user serviceable way to get into the battery. So I don't even know actually if this is 2 cells or not. I believe it's 1 cell based on the fact that it says it's 3.7 volts, but it could be 2 cells in series. It could be 2 cells in parallel. It could be 2 cells in parallel. I'm not sure. I guess, once I get brave enough, maybe I'll try and take the cap off on the back here, but I don't like to do that on reviews because that's kind of an enthusiast level modding kind of thing, and it's definitely going to affect your warranty. And, Wuben has a great warranty. They have 15 days, no asked returns, and 1 year parts and labor for breakage. So if you want to buy this Owl X2, go ahead and look in the description of the video. I've got an affiliate link, which I'd love if you used because it helps out my channel. And as well, I've got a coupon code that will get you 10% off this light. So thank you for watching this far into the video. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, please do. Again, it means a lot to me, helps out my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.